I get it. It seems kind of weird to hold over 4 assistants from the last staff, even though they went to 0 bowl games, and there's a reason you had to move on after 2 years. But I actually don't hate these moves that Pat Fitzgerald is doing so far.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, how on earth are we all doing as we are ramping up closer and closer to the new year? Thanks a lot, guys, for making Locked On Spartans part of your holiday week routine right here on the #1 ranked Locked On Podcast Network. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment below your thoughts on Pat Fitzgerald keeping 4 assistant coaches from the previous staff here, because I gotta say, we're gonna get into it in a little bit. I think that is a unique decision here. Normally, after you blow up a whole coaching staff and a coaching regime, you would think there would be somewhat of a hard reset button, but no, it's keeping nearly half the staff from last year. Guys, so we're gonna talk about that in the first segment, but also stick around segments 2 and 3 because we got Jeff Kohler, Jaxon Kohler's dad, on to talk about, of course, Jaxon. We do talk about his kid for a bulk of it. But also Michigan State Twitter, Michigan State fans, Tom Izzo. It's a great chat with Jeff Kohler here coming up. But guys, let's go over to Spartan Stadium. Let's talk football because the latest staffing news from the one, the only Pat Fitzgerald is, yes, he will be retaining Brian Wozniak. That's your tight ends coach from the last few seasons. And then Courtney Hawkins, your wide receiver coach. Now, this is going to be the 3rd straight coaching regime that he has worked under. So, man, this guy can't go away, and that's a good thing. I like that, and I think a lot of Michigan State fans are aligned with that, too. We're going to start with Brian Wozniak because, interestingly enough, this is the lone holdover that was also brought over from Oregon State. All the other guys like Jim Maholchek, it doesn't seem like he's going to be retained. Legi Sui Noah, for example, Blue Adams, a bunch of guys that Jonathan Smith brought over from Oregon State. This is the only one that has lasted for the Pat Fitzgerald era. So, and it makes sense, right? Like this isn't a guy that grew up on the West Coast. He has no ties here. It's quite the opposite. And it does make sense because he is a Midwest guy. He played college football at Wisconsin. And tell you what, he's also producing too. Like the tight end position, we always want to see more of it as Michigan State fans. We've been so starved to see not even elite, just like above average tight end play here. I feel like we are creeping closer to that, especially with some guys returning next year, namely Michael Masunis. I'm a big fan of his work. Brandon Parachek could return, Kai Rios, Wyatt Hook, Jaden Savory, but also he is producing on the recruiting trail too. He's bringing in 2 guys that were very highly rated, Eddie Whiting, Joey Caudle. So you're seeing the results from Brian Wozniak, who also, well, you could credit him for developing Luke Musgraves into an NFL talent over at his Oregon State days. So I like Brian Wozniak. I love that he's regional. He knows the area. And look, maybe I'm just overcorrecting myself because I was so wrong on the whole Jonathan Smith thing because I overlooked how important regionality is in college football. I think there is something to that, though. So, hey, he's been producing just like our guy Courtney Hawkins has been producing, too. So, like I said, like you already know, this is going to be the 3rd straight coach he is retained for. I guess 4th straight if you want to throw in Harlan Barnett, but that's semantics. Long story short, he's been here for quite some time. And in his time here, you want to credit him with developing Jaden Reed? Go ahead. Keon Coleman, absolutely. Jalen Naylor, why not? Nick Marsh, sure. I'm not going to turn you down for either of those guys. But, yeah, if there's one position coach that you felt pretty good about, if there's one position on the field you've been feeling pretty good about here in Michigan State, and there aren't many of them, but at least wide receiver has been a shining star here the last few seasons, whether it's they're playing the field, sending guys to the NFL. And yes, it's not lost with me that, Keon Coleman went to the NFL after a stint with Florida State. Nick Marsh, he's going to be taking a stint somewhere else. I don't necessarily pin that all on Courtney Hawkins, though, for not retaining these guys. I think maybe it's just a collective thing of, we're not winning. I'm an elite wide receiver. I'm going to go to a place where it is going to be win now and also get paid. Yeah, I can't say I fault any of the kids for doing that. That's just the state of the times right now. And I don't really fault Courtney Hawkins for letting these kids get to the portal and going to other schools. This whole thing needs to get better to retain your top-end NFL talent, and that's, well, kind of the whole reason you brought Pat Fitzgerald in, and you already just paid Jonathan Smith $30 million to not return. We need things to change, and we need them to change fast here. So, speaking of change, there's going to be a lot of change to the receiver room next year. We've already talked about Nick Marsh, Omari Kelly. He won't be coming back, but returning next year, you do have Christian McCray. Rodney Bullard, I believe, gets a 6th year next year. Evan Boyd, the transfer from Central Michigan, the big-bodied guy, too. This is where your physicality and height's going to be next year with Evan Boyd. Charles Taplin, you saw him a few times as a true freshman. Braylon Collier and Bryson Williams also back. And then the recruiting class, you got Rayshawn Elmore locked up. Zach Washington, both those guys are 3 stars. And then I think this helps you retain, or I guess not retain, but make sure that Samson Gash, the 4-star out of Detroit Catholic Central, for him to sign. In no way am I saying that this means that it's a guarantee for Samson Gash to sign here, because he's hearing from a lot of other top flight programs for the second signing day coming up in February, Penn State being one of them. But I think retaining a guy like Courtney Hawkins, a guy that Samson Gash has rapport with, I don't think that hurts your cause into keeping the 4-star speedster, again, out of Detroit Catholic Central. So, guys, listen up here, because this is what the staff is right now. Obviously, you got Pat Fitzgerald as your head coach, but we only have, less than a handful of spots available now for the assistant coaches. You have defensive coordinator Joe Rossi, linebackers coach and co-defensive coordinator Max Bola, of course, which, by the way, if you missed our conversation with Marcus Rush yesterday, talked all up and down about Max Bola playing defense. It was a great chat with the former defensive end. Anyway, back to what we were talking about with the staff. Your safeties coach, James Adams, who was kept from the last staff. And then special teams coordinator, which I think is still a surprising, shocking, and a statement hire from Iowa, LeVar Woods, who all that he's done in Iowa is just coach elite special teams over there. So that's a big get for a Michigan State program that has had some hot dog water special teams play the last few years. And then as we move to the offensive side of the ball, offensive coordinator Nick Sheridan coming here from Alabama, then wide receiver coach Courtney Hawkins, tight end coach Brian Wozniak. So, look, in this day and age, there's no limit on how many assistant coaches you can hire, but you can kind of figure, okay, what else is out there? You need both sides of the trenches covered here with your offensive line coach, defensive line coach. I don't believe anything has been made official about Jim Maholchek, your offensive line coach, but from what I understand, I think it'd be a little surprising to see him maintained from the previous staff. Not saying that's a 0% chance, but that's just my read on the whole thing. Could be wrong, but that's just what I know so far. Defensive line coach, all up in the air. You think they would also hire a running backs coach. And then it looks like they're going to try to hire a secondary coach, too, to go along with the safety coach in James Adams. Now, the rumor on the street is that it'll be Hank Poteet, or Potet. I think it's Poteet. Anyway, he is a secondary coach from Iowa State that Michigan State is going to try to pull away here. So it's getting closer and closer to being a finalized staff, guys. These are exciting times here in East Lansing. But before we talk with Jeff Kohler about all things Jaxon Kohler and Michigan State basketball, there is one mailbag question we got a few days, if not a few weeks ago at this point, but it's still evergreen. It still makes sense. So, Pat, we're finally going to get to your question. Thanks a lot for being patient. The question was, do you think former coach Jonathan Smith will release a statement/goodbye following his terminations? By all accounts, it seems like it was an amicable split. So, look, again, this was a question asked a few weeks ago. Like, in the week, I believe, that Smith was fired, Pat Fitzgerald was brought on. Weeks have gone by. There's no statement from Jonathan Smith yet, and I think it's perfectly okay. If not for nothing else, completely understandable, too. First and foremost, just personality-wise, didn't really seem like a guy that was a big, hey, I can't wait to make a statement and have my voice be heard kind of guy. But no, I'm sure these are 2 years that he's going to want to forget. Just act like never happened except for the $30 million buyout. I would want to make sure I remember that every day as I drive to the bank. But no, it was a clean split from the university. But you just think about how it all ended for him. And look, there's 2 ways to look at it. One way is how it ended for him. These sanctions get brought down to Michigan State, sanctions that he didn't even know Michigan State was being investigated for during his interview process. The few wins that he got were stripped from him from the NCAA. He goes to Breslin Center in the midst of this 7-game losing streak. He's getting booed at basketball games. No one's having a great time. Coaches a game at Ford Field, which was a third full. I don't blame the guy for not wanting to say goodbye to the fan base. Not like we treated him like a swine or anything, but I don't think he was treated with the utmost respect that he was looking for necessarily. But look, I think it's also in our right to voice displeasure. Like, we are fans. We are here to watch this team win or at least grow as a program. So I'm not saying we did anything wrong. I'm not saying he's done anything wrong by not having a statement. I think it's all good. But the other way to look at this too, and this is where you could give a lot of props and respect to him. They fought tooth and nail to get this recruiting class still intact for signing day, even though they probably saw the writing on the wall here. So, look, I mean, it was a odd exit with all the silence that he spoke about up until the last game of the season, where he said he wasn't really sure what was going on, but he was a professional until the very end. So you got to give him props for that. Not saying you got to build him a statue or he's like just the East Lansing version of Mahatma Gandhi all of a sudden, but hey, it was a clean split within the program. That's all that matters. We don't need to hear a statement or anything. Hope he's got a great life. Hope that we have a great life all moving forward. Let's act like those last 2 years have never happened. All right, guys, let's get to our chat with the one, the only Jeff Kohler. But first, you need to talk your ears off about Gametime. That's right, the greatest ticketing app out there because, well, yeah, there's nothing like college football season or NBA season, NHL, whatever it is that you're into. You could find tickets on Gametime. Like, hey, let's say you don't have a gift yet for someone in your life. Maybe a Michigan State Spartan fan in your life. Well, a few days after Christmas, Michigan State plays against Cornell. Go ahead, buy tickets. Hit up Breslin Center, guys. Save right now with flash deals because they always got them going on at Gametime. Whether it's a few days, a few weeks, a few months out, you can still save money. Or say you wake up the morning of the Cornell game, you think it's too late to save money. Not so fast. Their last-minute ticket deals also help put money back in your pocket, guys. Take the guesswork out of buying college football, basketball, hockey tickets, whatever it is with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Now, us Michigan State fans, we've seen Jaxon Kohler grow up right in front of us for the last 4 years, but we decided to bring on a guy that has maybe seen him grow up a little longer than that. That is the one, the only Jeff Kohler, who is not just the father of Jaxon, and we are going to talk a lot about your son over here, Jeff. But look, you're not just a player's parent. You have fully ingratiated yourself in this fan base. You are active on Twitter. So before we get to talk about Jaxon, just hit me with this. MSU Twitter is blank. Starting you off with an open-ended question. MSU Twitter is blank.
Awesome.
Okay. Wow. That was very nice. That's the holiday season in you right there. Okay. That's of all the words, you could have gone a long way. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Christmas time. If you would have asked me like any other time, I would have had some different adjectives, but it's been good, man. Like I just watching the kid grow up, watching the narratives. It's hilarious. Sure. It's a little bit of everything, to be quite honest. I love the way you guys panic. I love the way people get excited. I like, there's some good guys out there that are a great follow just from a basketball sense, which was really kind of what I tuned in for. And then all the, there's the sideshow comedy stuff that takes place there too. But for the most part, it's been kind of fun to engage a little bit.
What's the funniest thing, I guess, to see us panic about? Because I know I will do this, even though I've seen Izzo coach this team for 20 plus years. When they hit a little lull in February, I still will panic, even though it happens every year, and then they always get themselves out of it. But what about from your perspective? What gets your goat the most on Twitter?
Actually, what I love the most is like from a professional perspective. I always go out and try to get what the public perception is on something, whether it be a company, whether it be an investment idea, whether it be the timing of something. And without fail, every time somebody gets sour on something, there's a reaction. Mm-hmm. So you guys have a literal heartbeat to being like an absolute fade. Like it's funny, but I look at all the stuff I've bookmarked over the years, and none of it's there anymore. Or like how dare people say we have to have a conversation about 55 and the dude goes off for his best game ever. Just stuff like that. It's like I know by the time that people are getting kind of at their wits end or whatever, and like usually it ends up swinging into a positive, which is absolute comedy, to be quite honest. But that's probably the one thing that I always think, like when people are getting really, really down about something, it's usually time for the pendulum to shift a little bit.
Safe to say that's happened in Jaxon's career here because, I mean, especially that sophomore year, I just want to zoom in on that right now. He starts with his foot injury. he misses all these developmental games, so to speak, against, the non-conference teams that are mid-majors, low majors, what have you. Gets dumped right into the fire, Big Ten play. It wasn't a horrible year by any stretch of the imagination, but there were some, murmurs of, oh, God, is this really going to be the guy for it? I mean, that's got to be the perfect encapsulation of what you're talking about from a parent's perspective, is it not?
Yeah, and that's why, like, all the shit I bookmark in years past is all gone by now. But the hardest part was, like, the thing about for Michigan State, for these athletes, for these parents, is like Izzo's the kind of coach that wants to get you in there for a 4-year experience.
Of course.
Right. Okay. And so I look at guys like Trey Fort or Divine, and the hard part is like it would normally take you a year just to figure out the complexities of this whole system. Defensively, offensive schemes, everything. It's so much coming at you. And that was basically Jackson's freshman year, right?
Right.
You gotta make sure that when you're on the floor, that you're doing just enough not to screw things up, because you got to get out there and got to get the experience. The game doesn't slow down until you've got the reps to understand. You can watch film, but doing the defensive schemes and stuff like that, you have to be in that line of fire. And that's basically what I think your first year looks like. And then your second year is like, well, how can I, now that I know the system inside and out and I want to come back to it, like, how do I insert myself and make myself valuable in it? And the hardest part for me was, like, I mean, if you go watch the Midnight Madness that year, like, he was tuned up. He didn't miss a shot. He was mid-range. He was 3-ball. He was dunking. He was blocking shots. Like, he was ready to go. He's a self-starter, man. Like, he figures out, like, what's the narrative, and the kid is hell-bent on, like, oh, I'm going to change that. And so he was just as good, if not better, the start of his sophomore than he was his junior. I would argue that he was just in incredible shape. He was ready to go. And then, I mean, it was the practice after Midnight Madness. They want to go. He hit his foot, and then just, like, boom. And you can't really, you can hit the bike and you can do this cardio, but you can't replicate game shape. And my arrogant ass, I was like, well, he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. And then when I'm like, oh no, maybe, and that was the hardest part, was like, he didn't really come out the way I thought. If it were any other injury, he would have hit the ground running. But that kind of set him back a little bit. And that was super hard. The timing of that was awful. But it's also been good for him, because I think he's appreciated his journey more. He doesn't take a day for granted.
Right.
And, the work that he puts in, I mean, you'd be surprised, man. Nobody's in there. He's a morning, noon, and nighter. He's getting the shots up. He's doing everything that he can to make this team better.
Izzo's railed on it roughly 600 times, and not just about, any of his players specifically, of course, but just in college in this day and age, the minute things start to just go a little bit wrong, they'll just jump in the portal, they'll leave, they'll jump ship. Was that ever even a thought in your camp's mind, even after his freshman? I mean, pick a year, or was it always, okay, we know this is just the trials and tribulations of being at Michigan State, we are steadfast here, or did that ever creep into your guys' mind?
It's hard not to let the outsiders get in there.
Yeah, for sure.
But the thing is like, that's why I think when it's your kid, you have to choose the place you want to be. You have to choose the guy that you want to coach you, the guy that's not going to recruit over you. So not really. It never was for Jaxon. I mean, we had the discussion. We had the discussion once, but I was like, you know what, dude? Even if you do that, you're better in the comfort of knowing what the system is, who's going to be chewing your ass after you make a bad play. Like, you go somewhere else, and, like, you've seen, like, other guys leave somewhere else, and it's not always roses, right?
Yep.
Whether you get paid or not. And so the thing is like, if you find yourself in a system where you can see it, and that's the thing about MSU, and part of the reason he chose it is, like, they have helped him as a player with his deficiencies. He's become, I wouldn't say more elite at, but he's become so much better at areas where he was graded deficient in high school. Like, and that was part of it. Like, whatever your long-term goals are, like, this is a place that a coach that can get you to where you want to be. And, we chose MSU, we chose him. So, like, that was it.
So let's talk about where he's at in his senior year right now, because he's averaging 13 and 10. He's got, 7 double-doubles. And at this point, it's not, will he get a double-double? It's at what point in the game is he going to get it? Will it be before halftime? Will it be right out of the break at the under-16 timeout? So I guess what's impressed you the most about his own game this season?
What's impressed me the most was, like, I told him, like, your goal coming into the season should be 3-point percentage, field goal percentage, and just rebound the shit out of the ball. because those are things that translate. And what's impressed me the most is like, I don't know, I can insert the Twitter narrative here. You know, people are a little bit panicked about the aura of our 11-1 season. You know, it could be better. We could,
of course. Oh, we're good at that. That's right.
We could be boot to throat on these, you know, like it could be all that, but it's like Jackson's showing up and proving that he can hit that line in a half. And we're still using lineups, and we're still, you know, looking at guys. I mean, what happens if somebody gets injured? These guys need experience.
Right.
And so we're not in a situation where like we actually need to go to him in 2 straight halves. I mean, he's doing that. He's doing most of this where he gets his work done early, and then he does. I wouldn't say he kicks back, but like when the ball goes to get other guys shots and get other guys set up, like he's kind of got his, and he's just rebounding and trying to find guys and kind of keep, you know, the whole process flowing while we figure out roles and while we get guys experience. And so the fact that, I mean, he's hitting double marks now and a half in the last couple of games, as opposed to, I'm just excited to see when we get into league play and the ball got to go to him first half and second half. I mean, if you do the math, and the numbers of what he could be doing right now are pretty sweet.
What makes him happiest on a basketball court, you think? Is it like draining those big threes like he did oftentimes, not just this year, but last year? Is it grabbing, 15 rebounds? What do you think really gets him going the most out there?
I would say rebounding, but also like I taught that kid to be a contact initiator.
Okay.
So, when he puts his shoulder into a guy, or when someone tries to back him down and gets stood up, and then the conversation that ensues after that is like,
Sure.
usually he's kind of looking for a spark or something to kind of fire him up a little bit more. Like, you've seen his energy, right? He likes to, he likes to scream. He likes to lift the energy of the entire group up. And so I think those type of things really do it for him.
Plenty more to come with our guy, Jeff Kohler. But first, guys, you need to talk your ears off about FanDuel, because NFL Sundays move fast. Unless you're the Lions offense, then you're moving too fast, too late in the game. Anyway, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. God, how about the one before halftime? Anyway, nope, let's move forward. Come on, do the ad read, Matt. Stay on task here. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is the best when the game starts to shift, like a receiver gets hot. Let's say that the Steelers running backs, for some reason, are getting 9 yards a carry every time they touch the ball, and you want to capitalize on that with FanDuel. You want to make that a financial gain for yourself. Go ahead, guys. That's what live betting is all about. It's not just live spreads, live money lines. They also have live player props, guys. So you could put money on Jaylen Warren to hit over 400 yards in the second half if you really wanted to. God. Anyway, let's try to be happy. Stay on task here. Come on. Let's go. Finish this strong, Matt. Here we go. So if you want to be right in the middle of all the action this season, guys, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. It's FanDuel. The game moves fast, and so can you. And you've mentioned a few times that, he is a self-starter, self-motivator. Has he always been like that ever since you could remember? Is this something that's kind of blossomed ever since he's gotten into college? Or I guess, how long has that mentality been attached to him for?
Since he was a pup, man. Never with the kids. I don't know, like some parents force the ball into their hand at an early age. And that usually ends up like, I don't even like basketball. I'd rather do something else. I'd rather play video games. But like putting him around it and then letting him get interested in it. And then when he started playing against other guys, and he was big early, but he was like obsessive about like back to the basket type stuff, and like, trying to translate highlight reels of professional guys and doing that on his own in like junior high and high school. I mean, we've every now and again go back and watch one of his, highlight reels from his younger years, and the stuff he could do with his feet was unbelievable. And like, that what's funny too about like when you come into college, they realize that like, you're not strong enough to do that stuff as a freshman. So keep it simple. Mm-hmm. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Go to your right hook, but like they're starting to kind of back off of that. And like that's been one other thing that I've loved is like, if you look at the Penn State game or you look at the Toledo game, granted competition, but what they're doing is they're allowing him the freedom of some of his creativity. Mm-hmm. Usually it's like pass out of a double. In the Penn State game, he spins baseline and goes and dunks it. So like, I think they always want him to go to get a quick, easy bucket, but they're also allowing him to kind of bring back some of who he was when he came here. And that's what I'm most excited to see, is the kid that can really be creative in the paint, who can stretch the floor and who can rebound. I mean, we're starting to see that come together his senior year, and it's pretty exciting for me.
It's even going before his Michigan State days. I mean, you mentioned you're a professional player, so that just had the light bulb go off my head. LeBron James, was his coach for a minute here in AAU. I mean, how surreal is that? Whether it's for Jaxon himself or even for you as a parent, like, my God, arguably the greatest NBA player of all time is coaching my kid. Like, that's what a fever dream that must have been for you guys.
It's like the fact that they kind of hand selected him because of that.
Right.
But it's not just that, but it's the things that they tell him. We're hanging out with Rashad McCants over the summer and got just a lot of different guys. And when they do the workouts with them and they see him, I don't want to say the non-Michigan State version of him, but the kid that's just like, all right, I'm just going to go out and be me.
Mm-hmm.
Their response is just like, wow, and so the stuff that he was telling him just to kind of like build him up, and like his skill set was a little bit advanced in terms of like feet and positioning guys, and like that's how he rebounds and stuff, right? Is like his footwork.
Oh, yeah.
The kid knows how to wedge. It's not like he's going to out jump you, but it's the commentary of the stuff that the words and stuff they use to build him up that I always thought was like, wow, I don't think they would just sugarcoat that. Like he would come over to him after a game and give that to him on his own, not just, and that's not a guy that does that. So that was the stuff that I thought was most interesting, was like, they really believe in him and, and what he's able to do.
That's incredible. I mean, the shout outs that he gets from LeBron on Instagram every once in a while, like, that's surreal. How do you keep a kid's ego in check after that? Because I know I'd let my head get the size of a blimp if that happened to me. That just seems like his personality, I guess. I mean,
that's the thing, is like, I think we've always had a pretty good like understanding of just like, you just still have so much more work to do.
Yeah,
you still have so much more to prove. Like you haven't, the moment you feel like you've earned something, I'm gonna go take you in the basement and kick shit out of you one-on-one or something. But like, you know what I mean? But like, there's just so much that he's got to like. So much that he has to prove and learn, and that still has yet to come. And so he's been so good about that, though. Like that's the most humble kid you'll ever meet if you ever get to one-on-one.
Yeah. So I guess it's two more questions for you, Jeff, and thanks a lot for your time. This has been awesome. The first one is a two-part question. Part one: can you tell Jaxon that I love him for what he did at Illinois last year, putting up 23 points and 10 rebounds? Totally not a weird question, but just tell him that a podcaster out there loves him very nearly and dearly. And that was a pivotal game too. You think? Yeah, that was amazing. My God, not just for Jaxon, but for the season. That was, whew,
and that was Izzo's badge too, right? That was Izzo's most,
best.
Winningest coach and whatnot. So like to have a part of that, that's like, that'll sit on the shelf forever.
I say he had a part in it, yeah. But I mean, on a more serious note, what's your favorite game that he's ever played in a Michigan State uniform?
That is a great question.
There's a lot to pick from. It's tough because of a good reason. Like, there are a lot to pick from here.
I just, I watched him since he became a starter. Like, I think he's only lost like 7 games, and so,
right. Yeah.
And we have had some, the team part of it. I've had some favorite games that I love to watch all of these guys grow and develop. I'll be honest, this last game against Kentucky at Madison Square Garden, where you could literally watch, everybody was just so surprised. I mean, that's when we kind of put everybody on notice. And people can say that Kentucky was this or that, but they came in there. I saw Pope pregame, and he's like, "What's up, player?" Like he was ready, like he was going to walk out of there with a dub. And we brought the belt. And so, but the thing was he stretched the floor. He one dribble pull-ups and made his free throws, I think the weighting of that game for our season, because I used to DM a lot of guys and say, "Hey, I think we're better than last year than we are now, or we're better now than we were last year." But I always told him in those feared 4 non-conference games, I think we're going to win all of them. I really do think we have a shot. And nobody saw that early, but like that was the first game where people were like, "Oh, maybe we might."
I mean, that's where the pre-panicker in me came. I mean, when you mentioned the panickers, I'm part of that community, I will say. I mean, I don't go as overboard, I like to think, as some people, but I was saying, hey, that'd be cool if they went 2-2 in those non-conference games, whatever. But instead, just 3-1, and obviously that Duke game was a coin toss. So things are looking pretty good here. But Jeff, let's get to the question that everyone wants to know here. You're famous, not just for interacting on Twitter, but also posting your shirts that you wear to games. Oh, yeah. Different images of the team, of course, different images of Jaxon. So hit us with your best shirt. What's the best one in the collection, in your opinion?
I think when I think of it was when we were in playing Eastern Carolina, right? First, like one of the first couple plays of the game, Cone goes up and Jackson's in the background with his hand raised.
Yeah, that's a great
I haven't
one.
broke that one out yet, but I think that is just such an iconic photo of like who these guys were that stayed together and like who we are as a team. Like I haven't worn that one yet, kind of saving it for a special occasion, but that's got to be my favorite.
How many unreleased shirts are there? Is that the only one, or is there another one? With
I get my season ready, and then I kind of sprinkle in, as different photos emerge. But I got probably a dozen or more that I haven't worn yet. So try to get a fresh one for every game, and it's kind of corny, but it's just my little way of being a fan, being a parent. So.
It is not corny. No, that's supportive. It's awesome. My favorite one personally is the one in the hot tub. I think it's like the Freddy or the Jason mask. I'm not a movie person, but I know it's like a horror movie mask. Just chilling in there, just living his best life, just dreaming about rebounding.
That photo was taken by Nick Ritchie, and that was like a real thing. That wasn't like a pose for this. Like he was sitting in a hot tub with a freaking Michael Myers mask on. And so you caught him in the wild, and that's like really a part of his personality. So.
And we love him for it. Spartan Nation loves him for it. So, hey, I've loved this chat, Jeff. This has been awesome. Thanks a lot for not just biting off some time here, but during the holiday season especially. So I've loved this chat. I know the listeners, the viewers will. So can't thank you enough, man. Yeah, if you run into Jaxon in the next few days, just tell him thanks for everything, too. I mean, I'd be happy.
He's in the other room, so I'll send you regards.
Yeah, just shout to him right now. Hey, thanks. So, yeah, appreciate that in advance. So, no, you're the best, Jeff. Much appreciated. And I already pre-apologize for the next panic I have on Twitter. But
all good.
Hey, just fade it. Without fail, it'll always get better. So there we go, guys. All right, we'll be back tomorrow, guys. We're going to be talking some football with the guy Brian Smith of Locked On the Portal. But until then, guys, take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of the holiday week. Love you all. Go Green.